Why does there need to be so many patches after the release? You haven't figured out how to make the game yet that's something suitable that could last at least a year without any fixes? Hey, what's up YouTube? You already know it's AllCity Live TV, and thank you for tuning in. Today we're going to be talking about the best center build with the best badges. How do you set up your badges for NBA 2K21? Because it's going to be slightly different. Although the game looks very similar to NBA 2K20, there are going to be some slight differences and some differences that I've noticed while playing NBA 2K21 demo. This build that you guys see here is a Paint Beast build. Last year I made the Pacers game best center build, which was a paint piece, and then I made the Laker fan finisher build, and I had a ton of fun on both builds, but I also have a ton of experience on creating these type of builds. There were some shortcomings that I noticed on both center builds that I created for NBA 2K20, which I intend to make up for in NBA 2K21. So this is the build that I'm looking at here: 20 finishing, 12 playmaking, 23 defensive badges. This is gonna make for a super fun center build out there. And if you're trying to rep up, listen, if you guys are out there and you say, I want to rep up quickly this year, last year I made it to legend on NBA 2K20, and I want to, get that same grind rep. I want to be able to grind my rep super quickly out there, and a center build is going to help you do that because you can finish, you get points for that, you can grab boards and throw outlet passes, you're getting blocks out there as well. Oh, this is why centers rep up so quickly. So we're gonna go right into it and talk about how we're gonna lay out the badges in NBA 2K21, because I know that's what a lot of you guys want to know about, how to set up your badges. And there are, although 2K21 looks very similar to NBA 2K20, there are some differences which you've noticed during your gameplay. If you looked a little deeper past the same aesthetic that we received from NBA 2K20, if you look a little deeper into the gameplay, you're gonna notice some of these differences. And I'm gonna go into the badge. We're gonna go into finishing badges and talk about that first. How do you set up your finishing badges? Like I said, I made very similar builds in NBA 2K20. I had the Pacers gaming best center build, which was the paint piece, super goated build. Had a ton of fun on that build, so I got a lot of experience with that paint piece. And I also made the Laker fan finisher build, which also was a super ton of fun, but I have a lot of experience playing with these particular type of centers. How would I lay out my badges? First, let's get the primary badges out the way, because nothing much has changed for finishing. So we're gonna get the primary badges out the way, and I think that I just wanted to make sure my camera wasn't in the way. We're gonna go with Slithery, and we get Hall of Fame finishing and Hall of Fame defensive badges. So we're gonna get Slithery up there, fancy footwork up there, contact finisher all the way up. 8 badges remaining. What do you do with 8 badges? Some people will like back down. Now, back down punisher and drop stepper are badges that you may want to consider, but there's more of a defensive badge setup video. This is how I want to more so focus on defensive badges, because we don't know yet if back down punisher and drop stepper are going to be the same as last year in NBA 2K20, where the animation was so long-winded that you couldn't really get into a back down animation without all 3 defenders getting in your grill and contesting your shot out there, because the animation took so long to back down. So I'm not exactly sure how I will lay out the remaining 8 badges. I may go relentless finisher, Hall of Fame. We got 4 badges left, and I may just Lob City finisher. We're gonna have to get in there. We'll put Lob City finisher. This is how I would probably run if I was running in the park with a good point guard throwing lobs out there. You want a center build that can catch lobs out there, so we'll go with this. And we're gonna get a ton of rep there. The 1 shooting badge, if you guys are new, you should know if you get 1 shooting badge, you don't intend to shoot out there, but put it on Slippery Off Ball, because Slippery Off Ball is goated and will help you get open on the off ball. 12 playmaking upgrades for this center build, which is going to be super fun. We're going to put it on post spin technician, quick first step, unpluckable, and bailout. We'll go gold bailout. We'll do something like that. I may do needle threader or even break starter, depending. They said they fixed the outlet passes, so it shouldn't be throwing it out of bounds. I imagine that 2K is gonna make sure that you're not throwing these passes out of bounds. I didn't use break starter all year last year, so I don't think we're gonna need it this year as well. We're going to go into the defensive badges because this is what we want to know about. Now, I'm anticipating that 2K really is going to work the adjustments for defense because defense was rendered almost useless last year. There was so many goofy animations for centers in the paint. If you didn't make a tall center, you would end up in these real goofy contest animations, and I really didn't enjoy myself playing defense out there. In the park, it was one thing, I had fun, but when you went into rec or Pro-Am, you saw the disadvantages out there. So I don't want to end up in that same situation. We're going to go with Chase Down. We're going to go with Intimidator. And then we're going to talk about these badges as well because there's a center build, yeah. So I may even go with Clamps because Clamps on Silver was goated last year for a center. You ended up in that animation where they forced the ball handler to pick up the rock, and that was always a good thing. For your teammates, you're gonna want to have brick wall up, so we're gonna put that up. And let's see what else we got to get. Rim protector in there and rebound chaser. So we got one badge left, and we may put that bronze. We may put box on bronze depending on which mode you play. Let's go over these badges and see how. Let's talk about the defensive badges and see how they're gonna translate from what I've experienced in NBA 2K21, how they're gonna translate, because I don't want to necessarily adjust my badges according to my gameplay in NBA 2K20 when I notice a bunch of changes on defense in NBA 2K21. So I'm gonna go through each one of these defensive badges and let you guys know what I think so far from the gameplay and how I would align my badges. Box may be good enough on bronze for all game modes. It may very well be, because I think box is more about getting yourself in position. Now this is all dependent upon how they made the adjustments to the worm badge. If the worm becomes an OP badge this year, then you're going to have to increase your box badge. So that remains to be determined. Brick wall is always going to be a good thing. Remember, they mixed brick wall with bruiser from 2 years ago, so 2 or 3 years ago. So brick wall drains the energy of your opponent whenever you hit them with a brick wall, so that's always a plus. If you can get your teammate to move a little faster than the defender, brick wall is always going to be a plus for your teammates. Chase down artist, always a great badge to have. We may not need to have it so high, although on centers I like to put it a little higher. If I had a guard or a smaller defender out there, I may go lower, because the chase down animations alone are always overpowered. You get into that chase down animation as soon as you put the badge on bronze. Hall of Fame is just an added benefit. Clamps is going to be great because it's going to force the ball handler to pick up the rock, and that's what you want out there, and I'm sure that's going to be the same thing for NBA 2K21. Defensive leader is a great teammate badge, and you may want to consider putting defensive leader on if you guys want to play better perimeter defense and prevent the ball from even getting into the paint. If you got good defenders at the top, at the perimeter, you put on defensive leader, they're going to be even more overpowered out there, so that's a great badge to have. Heart Crusher decreases opponents' takeover meter when achieving a highlight play on defense. Another badge that remains to be seen if they adjusted the Heart Crusher badge. I didn't use it all year. I tried it, but I didn't attempt to use it consistently all year. There were some people who were talking about Heart Crusher being goated. Get out of here. I don't know who ran Heart Crusher, but I know I wasn't running it. Interceptor, hopefully this is going to be a good badge. Last year it was up and down, up and down. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. I just wasn't sure, but I don't think I will be running this badge on my sensor, and if I do do run it is going to be at a very low level. So right now I don't got it equipped. Intimidator, Mike Wang said they made some adjustments to the Intimidator badge, so hopefully it's still a good badge to equip. There were some people complaining about how overpowered the Intimidator badge is, and I'm hoping this badge did not get nerfed, because although the defense on NBA 2K20 was slightly, it was goofy, man. Sometimes you would go to, sometimes you would just rendered useless. Hopefully Intimidator functions well enough. Lightning reflexes, I was really into the lightning reflexes badge. I'm curious to see what happens this year with lightning reflex. You know, Mike Wang said that the lightning reflex badge was just like your read and react queue, but there were too many instances on varied players, so this would vary from player to player, but there were too many instances where when I put on the lightning reflex badge, my player would just react so much quicker. So it was more than just the read and react queue. That was my assessment of the lightning reflexes badge last year. Another badge that it just went up and down, the moving truck badge. Now you guys know moving truck is one of those badges that he really dumps his weight. Whenever your opponent will just go into the post position, your defender would dump their weight onto him, and that forces a pickup animation a lot of times, especially if you got a lot of interior defense and you're a heavy defender out there. Moving truck will force the ball handler to pick up the ball, and that's super clutch when you got somebody trying to back you down and they're goated in their post moves, and you force them to pick up the ball early and they're forced into a mid-range shot, heavily contested at that. So moving truck is always a good badge to have. Off ball pass, one of the best badges in the game as far as defense goes on NBA 2K20. I don't know how it's gonna work out in NBA 2K21 just yet. At the center position, I would not run off-ball pass, but if I was a 3 or 4, I would run. Even my guards I would put off-ball pass on, because I just liked what it did for people trying to maneuver past me off-ball. It was like a brick wall for off-balls, which was pretty dope when you're playing defense out there. It was very difficult for defenders to get past you, take back doors, or wrapping around. I really like the off-ball pass badge. Pick dodger for centers, definitely not, but for a guard out there, you may want to consider pick dodger. Pick dodger has been in the game for so long and has always been a fairly decent badge. Some people complain about it, but as a center, from what I noticed in NBA 2K20, I don't know how it's going to translate in NBA 2K21 just yet. As a center for NBA 2K20, it was so annoying when I would set screens and they would just run around those screens, forcing more like they were annoying to my ball handler when I couldn't hit him with the screen, and then my ball handler is trying to work around the screen and take the shot, and they're just going right through my screen like I'm not even there. So that was super annoying, and it was noticeable when somebody had the pick dodger badge on. Pickpocket, I gotta say, when I was playing this demo so far, that I noticed pickpocket looks like it's going to be a good badge. There's still a ton of bump steals out there, which I was getting on the AI. So that's one thing to note. You may not need the pickpocket badge if you're good at getting those bump steal animations. So I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure just yet, but I did get some on-ball steal animation. So I think they gave a little bit of a buff to the pickpocket badge. Pogo stick all year. Pogo stick was such a great badge to have on NBA 2K20, and I'm hoping that it translates on NBA 2K21. In fact, I may have to rearrange some of these badges to make sure that I put Pogo stick on, because I really enjoyed the Pogo stick badge on NBA 2K20. Now, post move lockdown, another badge that was really great for preventing post moves and the post scorers to get into the paint. It was noticeable. I ran a bunch of tests last year on the post move lockdown badge, and it was very noticeable when I was going up against goated centers. I would tell the center, just do your best to get your post moves off, and I will equip the post move lockdown badge and also equip the moving truck badge. And when I noticed like the differences with those badges as opposed to taking them off, the badges seem very good to have on your player. But the problem is that post moves there wasn't a lot of centers using post moves, I should say, because there were some post hookers out there that were goated, but you didn't come across them too often, so you rendered like it was just like it was a waste of badge points because there weren't too many centers that were good at using their post moves. So I didn't run it all year. Rebound Chaser, always a good badge to have. Always have it at the highest level. Rebound Chaser, although it did go through some up and downs last year, mostly up on NBA 2K20, so I'm assuming that that's gonna carry over into NBA 2K21. Rim Protector, another badge that's always good to have at a high level. If you're a guard out there, you may want to equip this at a lower level. Bronze, something like that is good enough, but Rim Protector at the high level, you can't go wrong. Tireless Defender, a goated badge. You don't necessarily need it too much if you're like a center, but if you're running around the court and you find yourself chasing, or let's say you're getting hit by brick walls, Tireless Defender may help you out there. If you find yourself running around on defense, holding your turbo button, not managing your stamina too well, Tireless Defender will help you manage that stamina. And right behind my webcam, you got the Trapper and the Worm badge. Now, Trapper is a great badge, not for a center, not necessarily for a center. It may work very well if you have the 3 and the 4, maybe have Trapper badge as well. But what we noticed about the Trapper badge in NBA 2K20 that is didn't work as well unless 2 defenders that were on the ball handler had the Trapper badge. Then it was like way more effective. One person having the Trapper badge rendered the badge almost useless, and I ran a bunch of tests on this badge as well last year, and that's what I came up with, and that's what I noticed. The Worm badge, as far as the gameplay goes in NBA 2K20, I have noticed that at least the AI was getting a ton of worm animation. So they may have given the Worm badge an upgrade in NBA 2K21. How long does that upgrade last? We don't know, because when the devs drop a patch, that could pretty much change everything. And I know the devs are gonna have their ears wide open just listening, and I said it right, the ears wide open, just listening to the 2K community and making adjustments when the game drops. I wouldn't doubt that the devs drop another 14, 15 patches on NBA 2K21. I don't know why they do it, but they continue to do it. I would prefer that they release the game complete and ready to go to what they think. They got 20 years of experience with the game. Why does there need to be so many patches after the release? You haven't figured out how to make the game yet that's something suitable that could last at least a year without any fixes? I don't get it. I don't see why they don't have like gameplay testers test the game out and see what's at least suitable to last the annual release. And the reason why I find this is important is because it allows the users, the gamers, to get used to the game in front of them without any constant changing and rendering players useless that the gamers actually spent IRL money on. So I prefer to have a game that I know and that I can get used to and make the adjustments accordingly, instead of making the adjustments accordingly and then have the game changed again and render a lot of players useless. And that's money that I spent as a consumer out there, and I don't like that at all. So hopefully 2K this year will be able to leave the game alone. Let us get used to the badges. Let us find out what works and what doesn't work. Let us work with the game that you put in front of us. If you guys enjoyed this video, found it helpful and informative, please consider subscribing to our channel, because we're gonna have a ton of 2K21 content coming your way. I'll catch you guys on the next video.